Hi everyone, my name is Rafiat and you're welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time of stopping by, you're welcome, and if you're an old subscriber, you're also welcome. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. Okay, today I'm going to show you how to make meat pie. Not any regular meat pie, but a deep dish meat pie that is so yummy. So let's get right into it. These are the ingredients you'll need for this recipe. You're going to need ingredients for the filling and of course ingredients for the dough, and luckily there are ingredients that you can find basically anywhere. The first ingredients will have to be minced meat, and I'm going to quickly show you how you can make your own minced meat at home. So I'm going to be using beef, and my beef has already been thoroughly washed, and I'm just adding it to the food processor, and I'm going to allow the food processor to do the job. So you can use a very sharp knife to mince the meat, that's if you don't have a food processor, but a food processor is easier, it's faster, and it does the job perfectly. So just as expected, this came out really nice, so I'm just going to set it aside. We'll also be needing some already diced onions, and in addition to that, we also need some Irish potatoes already washed and diced mine. We also have some ginger, garlic, curry, seasoning and salt. You can also add thyme or rosemary, and of course some nicely diced carrots, all-purpose flour which we are going to use as a thickener, and fresh pepper as much as you can handle. So we also have spring onions for that color and flavor, some margarine, and an egg. We just need one egg for this recipe, and cold water. And we also have some salt, baking powder, and of course some all-purpose flour. So the first thing to do is to add the salt and baking powder into the all-purpose flour and mix everything together. When mixing this, make sure you do it thoroughly so that the all-purpose flour that's at the base of the bowl can come to the top. So mix this thoroughly before adding the margarine. You can actually use butter in place of margarine, but I'm using margarine today, and make sure your margarine is cold. It's easier to work with. In fact, the dough for making meat pie is better you do it in a cold chain, so the margarine should be quite cold so that you can work with it. So all I'm doing now is to press the margarine into the all-purpose flour. Do this gently so that everything gets well incorporated. So after doing this for a few minutes, our mixture is beginning to look like what we want it to look like. So another important thing is always make sure you bring the all-purpose flour that is at the base of the bowl. Make sure you mix them in such a way that it comes to the top. That way you can massage the margarine into the flour completely, making sure that everything is well mixed together. This is very important so that your dough comes out very flaky and uniform. So at this point our mixture is already looking good, and I'm just going to add water. The water is cold, and I'm going to put the exact measurement of everything in the description box, so don't worry about it. So all I'm doing now is to use my hand to mix everything together, and I'm just going to mix for a few seconds. Now I'm just going to transfer the mixture to a very clean surface, and luckily the dough for making meat pie, you don't need so much kneading and so much handwork and muzzle and all of that. So all you have to do is gently use your hand to bring the dough together. And once you've successfully brought the dough together, just knead for about 30 seconds to 1 minute, just a simple hand movement, and it's basically to get the dough together, not the way you knead when making bread or anything like that. So just simple kneading process and your dough is ready. So now I'm just going to divide the dough into two and set them aside. I'm going to put each of them in a Ziploc bag and set them aside in the refrigerator. This is just because I want the dough to set. I said this earlier that when you're making meat pie, it's important that you maintain like a cold chain for the dough, and that's going to help your meat pie dough to come out really nice, flaky, and just the way it should be, just the way we all like our meat pies. So yeah, set them aside in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes to 1 hour. Now let's go ahead and make the filling. Of course, the first thing to do is to add some vegetable oil into a pan. Allow that to heat, then go in with the already diced onions. After frying the onions for about a minute or two, go ahead and add the already minced meat and mix everything together, stir everything together so that they can gets well combined. One really good thing about using minced meat is that it's so easy to cook. It cooks very fast, so you don't have to worry about the length of time. Making this filling takes just a few minutes, and in no time the filling will be ready. So once you've added the beef, go ahead and stir it continuously for about a minute or two before adding the spices. I'm using really simple spices: ginger, garlic, seasoning powder, salt, curry. You can actually add as much as you want to, so it's based on how you like it. Now I'm going in with the Irish potatoes and the diced carrots, and of course the pepper. So you can add as much pepper as you can stand. I just added about 3. Yes, I added 3, and it was very okay for the filling. In making this filling, it's important that you add all-purpose flour or cornstarch, which is basically a thickener for the filling. All you have to do is dissolve the flour with some water, about 1/4 cup of water, and you're good to go. Notice how up until this point of making this filling, I haven't added water. This is simply because it's important to allow the minced meat, release its original juice before adding any water. And I just added 1 cup of water, and I'm just going to allow this cook until the potatoes get tender. And once that has happened, go ahead and add the spring onions for that color. Mix everything together, and that's it. So now you just have to set the filling aside and allow it to cool down completely. And now we are going back to the dough. So this stage is more like a coupling stage where we bring everything together. And I've just sprinkled my surface generously with some all-purpose flour, and I'm flattening out the dough. You can flatten the dough out with a rolling pin, and that's just it. So it's important to note that your dough shouldn't be very thick and it shouldn't be very thin either. This level of thickness is perfect. So for making this meat pie, I'm going to be using a tart pan. You can use any kind of pan you have, a square pan, circular pan, any kind of pan basically, but I'm going to be using a tart pan for this. And all I'm doing now is to place the flattened dough on top of the flat pan. Once you've done that, now use your hand to press this so that it holds tightly onto the pan. Now is the perfect time to add the filling we made earlier. Now this is why you shouldn't add filling when it's hot. You should totally allow the filling to cool down before adding it into the tart pan. The reason is simply because if the filling is hot, it's going to sort of start melting the dough, which is not what you want at all. So always make sure you allow your filling to cool down completely. So to cover up the pie, I'm just going to flatten the other half of the dough. Remember, we flattened the first half and we're done with that half. So this is the second half, and I'm just flattening it out. The same level of thickness we used for the previous dough, that's what I'm going to be using for this one. And this one, like I said, is to cover up the meat pie. So you can actually just flatten and cover it up, but where is the fun in that? So I'm going to be doing a crisscross method for covering the meat pie because it's fun, and why not? I mean, this is a special meat pie and it deserves all the shakara. It's really simple. So once you're done flattening the dough, just cut the dough with your pizza cutter or a sharp knife and start placing the strands on top of the meat pie. It's really easy to achieve. All you have to do is place the strands vertically and then continue horizontally. Anyhow you find it easy. You can start horizontally and continue vertically, just depending on how you find it easy. And all I'm doing is to place the strands in alternate ways. So one goes on top and then goes under, on top, under, just the way you see me do it in this video. It's very easy. It's also very important to note that there are different ways to cover this pie. You can actually just place the flattened dough on top, or you can decide to do this, or there are different methods to do this. It's not limited to this. So repeat this process until you're done, and once you're done with that, go ahead and use a knife or your finger and press out or cut out the excess dough by the side of the pan. So the reason I'm using my hand to do this is because in the process of cutting off the excess dough, I'm also sealing the strands so that they hold tightly and don't, loosen up when baking or any of that. So repeat this all around the pan, and that's it for covering the meat pie. Really easy and fast, right? When you try this, you're going to see that it's very easy to achieve and doesn't take so much time or energy or any of that. So guys, let's take a moment and appreciate how beautiful this pie looks. Very beautiful. So all I'm doing now is to brush the pie with egg. This is going to give that glistering, shiny, golden look that meat pies always have. So be generous with this. Always make sure you brush your pie with egg before going into the baking. For the baking, I'm going to bake at 170 degrees for about 30 to 45 minutes. So if you don't have an oven, don't worry about it. I have a detailed video showing how to bake without an oven on this channel. So go through my channel, and I'm going to even put the link in the description box. This is our pie and we're done baking. It looks very good, very good. Allow the pie to cool down for a few minutes, for about 10 to 15 minutes before taking it out of the pan carefully. Like I said, you can use any kind of pan to do this. So I used a tart pan and it came out nice. So this is it guys, very yummy, easy to bake meat pie. This is not regular at all, and I really hope you try out this recipe, and once you do, please let me know how it turned out for you. I am so eager to find out. So thank you very much. Thank you so much for coming this far. Thank you for all the likes, all the support, and all the love I get on this channel. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell. I'll see you in my next video. Bye, and thank you for watching.